Well, hello listeners. Welcome back to the Amnesia Cast, your source for amnesia-based films, formerly known as Outside the Cinema Minute. This week on the show, we will be covering one amnesia-based film called Footprints. It actually may be called Footprints on the Moon. There are some discrepancies. Much like a film you may have thought you saw many years ago, but is now on Shudder. How long can Bill keep this up, you ask? You find it slightly annoying. Wow, that transition there actually worked good with the part of the song. I also don't know where my actual echo effect is, so I'm doing it manually. It's not bad, right, Christopher?
Well, I would have to agree.
Thank you. I can't.
I was all set.
I can't. I mean, that was pretty good. Oh no, there's another. Hang on. Now I gotta turn the other thing off.
That wasn't too bad.
I was all set to do the whole thing with this voice.
I wish I could talk.
If only I could talk like this all the time.
No, it's all right.
No, yeah.
It's definitely
All right, there we go. Hey, guys. Welcome to Outside the Cinema, your weekly source for amnesia-based films.
Sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
Phlegm.
In a totally unplanned, we've made the joke because we did that Pamela Anderson movie that she had amnesia,
Yeah.
and then that other horror movie that had the girl that had amnesia.
Yep.
And Chris was like, we should do this film, Footsteps on the Moon. It's some people consider it a giallo.
I found that out after I picked it, by the way.
Yeah. That's fair. And we start watching it,
Yeah.
and Chris is like, hey, this chick has amnesia. So out of nowhere, another amnesia movie, Footprints on the Moon.
Yep.
It also has an Italian title. That's one of the flicks this week. And we're starting our Patreon picks. We are doing the film Cobwebs. I'd like to thank Larry for suggesting this film. It's a good step into our start of stuff from this year, because this is new. This is this year, right?
Yes. Not that long ago.
So
Yeah.
mad props to Larry for suggesting this
Yep.
film. If you're not a Patreon member, join the Patreon, patreon.com/outside the cinema. Next week, we'll have 2 Patreon flicks. The only reason we didn't do 2 this week is because I had to load them and make sure that Chris had copies of them. And now everyone's good for at least the next probably month or so of them.
Good.
And we'll be letting you know at the end of this episode what we're going to be covering next week. And hopefully I will have the note in front of me and I can tell you whose picks they were. Much like Larry,
Yes.
who chose Cobwebs. Or is it Cobweb?
I think it's web.
Cobwebs, right?
One singular.
Web. One singular
very
web.
lazy spider.
Very lazy. Now, when I ask human spiders, which is better, the human spider in
Cobwebs. Wait, no, it's Footprints.
Prince that has the or the human spider from Veronica,
Oh, man, I showed my kids that.
and they hate you now.
No. I showed them, and I'm like, all right, first of all, look at her boobs. Nobody didn't have a problem with that.
First of all, look at our bulbs.
It's the eyeballs. And they're like, why? I'm like, you don't find out. You just don't know. I said, now you've watched a bunch of Face Off, right? And you've seen them getting ready for the last looks and doing all the touch-ups and all the silicone stuff. And what is the one thing that judges look for all the time? And they both said, good seams. Oh, yeah. Look at Spider Boy's crotch. And they're like, holy shit. Really?
And by good seams, you mean you can't see the
Exactly.
seams. They're not meant to be prominent.
They couldn't have, there's nothing they could have done to fix that? Nothing?
No, why would there be?
Well, I mean,
Come on, dude.
if you're going to steal artwork from a Christar comic book, you might as well fucking, who gives a shit?
Dude, I will tell you this. That movie's terrible.
Yeah.
And Glenn Danzig, although being an absolute legend, he just come on. But I will watch that cowboy vampire movie that he has coming out still. Because as bad as Veronica was, God damn, it was fun to watch.
I'm not paying for it though. I'm not paying for that kind of crap.
No. I'm sure Shudder will give him will give him a boatload of money to like have it exclusively or whatever.
I don't. This may be controversial. I don't really give a shit, but I don't get why people love him so much.
What?
Yeah.
You don't get it?
he's a shitty goth Elvis. What's the big deal? Great.
I like him.
I mean, I like some of the songs he sings.
I mean, the greatest moment in Danzig's life is when that dude from the Northside Kings knocked him out after a show.
Of course.
I mean, that's the thing. And the funny thing is that's more people like the first thing. They're not like, yeah, man, bro, first fucking Danzig record was fucking killer. I'm not saying it wasn't because it absolutely was. But everyone's like, remember that time that dude from that hardcore band punched him out because he was a dick?
Yeah. Everybody that acts like a big tough guy, there's a story about how somebody kicked the shit out of him.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
I just, like, I don't know. Don't you get tired of it after a while? Like, the whole thing, like, can I just be normal for a little bit? Like, I don't know. It just seems, like, extreme. You know what I mean?
No, I don't. What are you talking about?
To keep that up, that stage persona, to keep it up for your whole life.
Stage persona. Okay. But that's the thing is, it's not a persona.
I know. I didn't know any other way to put it. Like Alice Cooper has a stage persona, right? Dude.
For sure. He loves
Dude plays golf is exactly what I was going to say, right? Everybody
and lives in Arizona.
Yeah. He's
the brightest state in the country.
That's because he made that movie about the dog. He has all that Monster Dog money.
Oh, yeah.
And Muppet
Bringing
and
it
Muppet
back.
Show money.
Hey, there's no Muppet Show money.
There was at the time.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm not convinced of that.
So I never. I like the first. I like some songs here and there, but I like some songs here and there from everybody.
That's
pretty much.
That's true.
But like, I don't understand why people fall all over themselves. I actually saw Danzig play with suicidal
I've seen
tendencies in.
I've seen him a bunch of times.
It's fine.
Yeah. I saw him. Yeah, I think I've seen Danzig in my lifetime probably 6 or 7 times. They're always a good time.
Well,
like he puts on a great
his
show.
band is always good. You know, I don't know. It's like, I don't know. Tim Burton started making like normal movies after a while. And by normal, I mean just kind of surreal and quirky. But Danzig seems to be doubling down on this 14-year-old edgelord, who idolizes incels and fucking Tate or whatever that fucking potato head's name is.
Well, I mean, what he does now, I mean, he know at least he's settled into the fact that he knows he's really more of a nostalgia act now.
Good.
Like the tour he just did, he just played in Boston last week, and like I know a bunch of people that went, and I think they played the first Danzig. I think it's the first Danzig record.
That's good. That's
or maybe
good.
it's Danzig 2.
I would actually like
the anniversary.
I would actually like going to see a band if they said, I saw They Might Be Giants toured and they were going to do all of Flood. And of course it was sold out till like 2150. But yeah, I like it when you show up and you're like, oh, I get to hear them do this whole thing, even the songs I don't hear when they play it. Nice. Okay. So that's good.
Yeah.
But he has terrible taste in entertainment. Like he can't.
For sure. He's an out of touch old man. There's no question there.
I mean, he was out of touch when like the 90s hit and he wouldn't let go of The More Blood, the Better. It's just, that's not a way to make a movie. It's just not. Blood is not a substitute for story or ideas. Anyway, just a little ugh makes me.
But the thing is, though, we say that, right? Like we say that, but there are a lot of people.
Oh yeah,
that think very differently. That are all about
the money goes where it goes. I don't have to watch it though. Well, I do because you make me. But
that's different.
No, it is different.
That's different.
Yeah, because I can't.
We can call it artistic integrity.
I can't stop watching. That's the difference. I can't be like, nope, I'm done. Bye.
All right. Let's get into the show for this week. Our reviews, as we said, Larry chose Cobwebs, and Footprints on the Moon was actually one that Chris picked. Which anytime Chris picks something that ends up being Italian, I'm always confused because I'm like, you had an opportunity to pick something that I wouldn't have picked, and this is absolutely a film that I would have picked.
Oh, yeah, no, I picked this one based off the title, the fact that it said it might be science fiction, and the fact that it was old.
And it is currently available to watch on Shudder in the U.S.
And I had never heard of it. So.
Cool. I have heard of it. Florinda Balkan is in it. So, all right, here's a trailer for Footprints in the Moon, or Footprints, or was it Il Orne is the Italian title. All right, well, here's a trailer. Take a listen. Or not. Where's the audio? Why? Oh, hang on. Damn it, Bill. I had muted it so that we wouldn't have
yes,
an explosion of audio, and then I forgot to unmute it. Still, damn it. There we go.
it's a little quiet.
Yeah, it's very quiet.
Oh, okay. As long as you know.
It's a DVD trailer for the Shameless release from a few years ago, and so I'm sure it's going to just be audio and not. Fuck this. Let's go to YouTube and see if we can find an actual original trailer. Oh, Footprints on the Moon.
I'm just going to sit back and enjoy the audio when it comes up.
Yeah, well, it'll definitely be a Liberty Mutual commercial when it does. Trailer. Let's try this one. See if this is an original trailer. YouTube survey. Skip survey. Here we go.
Why am I here? Why did I come to Gama? To this strange town I know I was never in before.
Your pin says Alice.
My name is Alice.
That's not true.
Look. It looks like blood.
What was I doing for those 3 days? Why can't I remember a single thing about them?
It's all those tranquilizers you take. You probably took a larger dose than usual and slept right through till this morning.
I saw you on the beach, I think, one day this week. Was it Tuesday?
Are you sure it was me?
No, I didn't see you at all on Tuesday.
Alice, I know you can hear me. Open the door.
No.
Are you sure that I am Nicole?
No, you're much
See?
nicer than Nicole was. That's them. They're coming. Go away.
Whose is this wig? If it's mine, why did I buy it? Perhaps because I didn't want someone to recognize me. But who? Why do I seem to know this strange hotel? And yet I'm sure I've never been here before. I can't have been asleep all that time. It couldn't have been just a dream. You're lying!
I didn't see anything.
Try to remember!
You're hurting me. You shouted someone's name.
What name?
I was waiting for you. I had a feeling you'd come. You didn't just happen to be passing.
Why am I so frightened? If I've been here before, what did I do? And if I ran away, why have I come back? Why did I buy these scissors?
Did you find him then?
Who?
Your friend.
What friend?
Your friend Harry.
Who told you I had a friend named Harry?
All right. Well, and apparently it ends.
What is this, a prequel to THX 1138? Because that's what that end sounded like.
I don't know, man. So, Footprints on the Moon, 1975, directed by Luigi Barzoni. Also, it looks like Mario Finelli is uncredited. I don't know whether he came in and finished it or something, but Barzoni is directed a couple films we have covered over the years, probably most notably The Fifth Chord, which is, I think, one of the better, more underrated. Well, I guess it's probably not an underrated giallo. But
not anymore,
No, not anymore. I think at the time we covered it, obviously, we were the first ones to do it.
Of course.
I don't know if we were or not, but he also did a handful of Westerns from the time period. Nothing that we've covered, though. I tell he was a writer, Man, Pride and Vengeance, Possessed. Cool. All right, so Luigi Barzoni passed away in 2012. Italian director. This is an Italian-made film. It is available to watch on Shudder. If you look on Shudder, it says, in this underrated giallo gem, it is not a giallo. And I find this surprising coming from Shudder because they're actually usually really good with that stuff. But there's also this kind of, all right, maybe I'm going to put myself in some hot water saying this, but I'm going to. There's this uneducated thing for Italian films where if it's an Italian genre flick from this time period and it has a female lead, it's just called a giallo.
Right.
Like people will put the giallo tag on it and, try to sell it that way or peddle it that way. But giallo are murder mysteries.
Yes.
They're sort of slashers, but usually almost always based in reality. Unseen killer. There's no killer in this movie. There's definitely mystery because you're trying to figure out what's happening, and it is a female lead. But and it's Italian. Like it doesn't check the boxes for giallo, so you can't call this a giallo.
Yeah, I can agree and disagree with that because I think there is a murder, but they don't.
Okay.
But they don't show it.
Well, actually, there is,
and it's only
and there's a murder at the end too.
It's only one that I saw. So, yeah, I'm fine with that.
Right. Either way, that's me being my Danzig elitist.
That's fine.
Being like, you can't call it a giallo.
No, I mean, it doesn't have
Nick
doesn't have a twin sister or motorcycle helmet. So no, it doesn't have the typical.
There's no boobs. There's no blood.
Right.
There's no black gloves.
Well, there was some sex scenes,
but there was no boobs.
Was there? I can't remember.
No, it was like a backlit. It was actually quite tasteful. It was tasteful.
Okay.
Tasteful nudes.
Okay. I don't.
And it's not nudes you're looking for specifically with the giallos. It's boobs. The 3 Bs, triple B, baby.
Yeah.
Triple B. Anyway, so what is L'Orme Footprints or Footprints on the Moon about, you ask? Well, it's about Alice, or is it Nicole, played by Florinda Bolkan, who has been in a number of films we have covered over the years. Very famous Italian actress in Italian films. Because I think she's Brazilian. She's not actually Italian, but she had a very fruitful career in Italy making films back in the 70s. So she is Alice. She's being tormented by these kind of like weird dreams of a film that she remembers about astronauts being stranded on the moon who are being used for some sort of experimentation. She wakes up one morning. She's going about her business. She finds that there's a torn up photo or what the hell? What type of card do you call it? When you go on a vacation. Why am I drawing
postcard?
The name of a postcard? Thank you, Jesus Christ, Bill. Oh my God, too much soda in my ears. Finds a torn up postcard of a picture of a hotel. And she looks at it and she doesn't know where it came from, but yet she strangely sort of remembers it because she might have amnesia. She's like, well, all right. She goes about her day. She goes to work and they're like, yo, where the fuck have you been?
Yeah. Yeah.
And she's like, what are you talking about? This report was due on Monday. Was due on Tuesday. And she's like, yeah, it's Monday. And they're like, no, no, it's not. It is Friday.
Yeah, she's not happy about that.
You haven't been to work since last week. Where have you been? And Alice is just like, listen, I don't know what you're talking about. Like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about? Maybe I have
Amnesia.
They never actually say the word amnesia, but I'm going to
No,
say
but if
it
you
at
can't
least
remember
100
where
times.
you've been for 3 days, guess what? You either had a blackout or
Amnesia.
there you go. Yeah.
So she's like, so am I fired from my, like, are you going to fire me? And she's like, you got to talk to the boss. We don't see that conversation, but it goes the way you would think. So she leaves. She calls one of her friends on the phone and she's like, hey, I think I just got fired.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she's like, why?
It's a shitty
She's like-
job and a shitty boss if you don't know if you were fired.
Right. She's like, I think I just lost my job. And she's like, why? She's like, because apparently I haven't been here for a week. She's like, huh? That doesn't sound like you.
No.
So she then finds she travels to a like sort of, I guess it's an isolated vacation spot island. She's drawn there.
Yeah.
She gets there.
Yeah.
She's drawn there because she's got the postcard. She figures out where the place is, and she's like, I need to know where this like week of days went.
That's fair. I would want to know
So-
if I had amnesia.
For sure. Well, I mean, we could tell you, but you won't remember.
Oh, well, that's a problem.
Yeah. So she decides to visit this place. The hotel that she stays at is the Hotel Garma, or it's the Garma Hotel located in Garma.
In the Garma district.
In the Garma district, yes. Where you can buy a bag of you buy your clothes by weight. That's an inside joke for anyone that lives in Massachusetts or the Boston area. Yeah. Back in the day, there's still the Garma district is still there, I believe.
Yeah.
It's a store in Boston that's kind of like a thrift store. Not kind of, it is really a thrift store, but they basically used to just like bring in all these like old clothes, and you could go there and you bought clothes not by the piece but by the weight.
Yeah.
They would weigh the bag when you were done, and they'd be like, all right, you got 6 pounds of clothes here. It's $16.99.
Yeah.
I'd be like, all right.
If you like wearing chiffon skirts and dresses, you could make out like a fucking bandit.
Or old ripped leather jackets. They have plenty of those
Oh.
too.
Yeah, because that's only like 2 pounds.
Yeah, but that's the heaviest of the clothes.
Yeah, but the coolest.
All right, sure. You can go that way. So she goes to Hotel Garma in Garma, located in the Garma district. And everybody knows her there. Everyone remembers her.
Yep.
They're like, yeah, sure. Nicole. And she's like,
Huh?
dude, my name's Alice.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, you're Nicole. We saw you on Tuesday. And so now Alice is just confused. She has no idea what's going on. She starts getting these kind of like broken memories. And she's like, I don't know. I don't understand. So she starts kind of searching around the island, trying to figure out kind of what happened to her. Was she here? She have a doppelganger?
Right.
What the hell is that?
Nothing. I wasn't cleaning out a battery compartment or anything.
I believe you probably
Look
were.
at these. Look at these. These batteries are gross. This is what came out of the battery. Can you see that on the table there? This.
No, I just see 13. There. I just see 13 empty Pepsi cans and a snot rag.
No, this is actually a baby wipe that I was using to dust. Baby wipes are fucking amazing for everything, by the way.
Use
that
them
you
for
need to
everything,
clean.
man.
I have one opened and one unopened Pepsi. Because nobody likes coming in the
that's what you wanna
room
go with.
and opening the door when the camera's on. So
Fair. So, Alice is, she has no memories, but like these like kind of strange deja vu moments. She keeps having these dreams of this guy that's like trapped on the moon, and this other guy that is like running some sort of experimentation, and they need to bring in more astronauts and all of this kind of bizarre stuff. And so you and I were texting back and forth when we were watching this yesterday, and which we don't normally do because it's very rare that like one of us will text the other while we're watching the movie.
Oh yeah. But it was amnesia.
Well, yeah. You shot me a text and you're like, this chick's got amnesia. And I was like, I know, I'm watching it right now. So we kind of traded back and forth a little bit. And we were talking about how, calling this as a giallo is very suspect.
Yeah.
But one thing that we kind of go back to with not just giallos, but I think Italian films in general that try to raise themselves above just kind of the ordinary, add a bit more of an art factor, try to be something more than just a horror movie or, just an action adventure movie or a thriller.
Right.
And so we were talking about how this movie is going to depend on one thing, and it's going to be when the twist hits.
Yep.
And we were kind of like, this can go anywhere.
Right.
This could be evil twin sister.
Yep.
It could be anything.
I was thinking Magical Island, where she was the redheaded kid herself and the redheaded old woman. Made sense a little bit.
I thought coma.
Okay, yeah.
I thought she was in a coma. Spoiler alert, it's not any of those things.
And the movie doesn't actually tell you unless you are reading between every line.
Yeah. You can take it at face value.
Right.
Or you can kind of dig a little bit deeper. And I think that for this movie, it's pretty well written. It looks really good. It's shot really well.
Yeah, that's true.
The acting in it is pretty good. Florinda Balkan is really good. And then the other gentleman, Harry, who ends up coming in, who's one of the memories that she's not sure if she's had. She's not sure if she knows this person or not. Comes in. He does a good job. But I think the linchpin in this that kind of really drives it is the little girl. She meets this little girl on the beach one of the first couple days she's there. You heard a little bit of it in the trailer, and she's kind of like, oh, my name is Alice. And she's like, no, it's not. Your name is Nicole. You were here the other day. We spoke. And that kind of is what gets everything going. So she keeps going back to the little girl, trying to be like, what is going on here? Like, how do you know me? And she goes to different stores. And the whole film is really just her trying to figure out what's going on.
Yep.
Nothing really all that exciting happens. But strangely enough, it all seems to work. Like, they give you enough mystery to have you asking, okay, what's going to happen next? Where is this going to go? Yeah. And then the payoff they give you is pretty good for what they're trying to do. And I don't want to give it away because you had never heard of this movie.
Right.
I had never actually watched it despite hearing of it. So I'm willing to bet most of our listeners are not familiar with it either. But if you are in the US or know how to use a VPN, you can watch it on Shudder currently. So we won't spoil the ending for you. But
There's definitely one way to interpret the ending, which is the way the filmmakers intended it. And then there's a couple other ways that could work for you individually. Like it finally caught up to her. And that's not saying anything because I'm trying not to. It could be that, but it is in the script, in the description of the movie, it is something specific and real that happened at the end, which was nice.
Yeah.
I had to look it up, which sucked.
I like that they, in this sort of roundabout way, like, gave you exactly what you think it's going to be, but, like, you're not sure.
Yeah.
You're not sure. It's a very well-written flick, which is not the norm for a lot of the, I think, Italian stuff from this time period. Let's be honest, as a guy who loves Italian films from the 70s, like, there's more misses than there is hits.
And that
is usually very good.
I think when somebody can say, I love this genre, but there's so much garbage, I think that's a person whose taste you can actually trust a little bit. Because anybody that comes and says, every Romero film is a classic. No.
All those jackasses that wear the Fulci Live shirt, it's like, you've seen probably just a few of Fulci's films, and you're like, all right, cool. Because the good Fulci stuff, fucking incredible.
Yeah.
The bad Fulci stuff
is unwatchable.
Unwatchable.
Yeah. Like, I don't mind a good Christopher Nolan movie, but I don't like a lot of them anymore.
It's true. Very true.
He overcomplicates his scripts, and he is shit at sound mixing. I don't care if he's experimenting or trying. If you have a $200 million movie that you want the public to see, we want to hear the fucking dialogue.
Right.
And that just aggravates me. And Tenet was the one that just kind of pushed me. He's like, okay, he went too fucking far. Nobody understands what he's doing here. Nobody. You made it too complicated. Fine. We don't have to watch him.
That's fair. Anyway, getting back to this flick. So the young girl that's in the film that plays Paola, that's Nicoletta Elmi, and she's been in. She was in Deep Red. She was in Who Saw Her Die. She's like the Italian redheaded little girl that shows up to make your film a little bit creepy.
Yeah, she's had a decent career.
For sure. So what I think the biggest thing I enjoyed about this movie is that it's presented in this very simple way and was really, really hard to predict what they were going to do with it. Like there was a number of things that I was like, okay, they could do this, they could do this, they could do this. And they didn't end up really doing any of them.
Right.
So I was like, okay. I'm like, there's a little bit more smarts to this than just kind of the standard, mystery twin sister that shows up out of nowhere in the fifth reel or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. You mean my least favorite plot contrivance? Yeah.
Yeah, the mystery sister is always the one that, and I think that's because the first Giallo you ever watched was Strip Nude for Your Killer.
Yeah,
right?
it's just lazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think at the time people thought that they were like, oh, you were going to bring in this mystery.
But I think in order for a twin sister to show up, you have to show your main character doing things out of character. Because then you're questioning, is it really a twin sister that's fucking with us? I don't know. But when your character is doing the same thing that they've always done and everybody's like, I don't know what's going on. And no one mentions a twin sister at all ever for no reason at all. Fuck you.
It's a good point.
Still, it's a fun, that one's a fun, sleazy movie to watch that I got over myself with. So,
as I was watching this, I got, have you watched White Lotus?
No.
Either of the seasons of White Lotus? So I watched both seasons. I think the White Lotus is excellent television.
It's on a list.
Great storytelling.
Yeah, of when I have the energy.
It's very good. I felt a lot of season 2 of The White Lotus kind of pulled from this movie in a kind of a roundabout way. Not so much in its actual storytelling, but in like the way they kind of present the mysteries and like the way things are going to come. White Lotus is excellent. It's this great like thriller with like all of this like cheese dropped on top of it, and that's kind of what this movie is like in a certain way. They're boring you with just the mundane stuff, but at the same time, there's enough of a crumb there that you're like, okay, well, I need to know where this is going to go.
Yeah.
And it's not too long; it runs 90 minutes, so it's definitely the type of film where it's like you're not having to invest. I think there's nothing worse than a film like this that overstays its welcome.
Yeah,
it needs to be that like the shorter like 85 to 90 minute runtime, and it works. It works.
Because a lot of this was just her sitting around monologuing to herself, and the dialogue wasn't great. The story was good. It was a good idea for a story, but I thought the dialogue suffered from I'll call it double translation. Like you run it through to another language and then you run it either back to the language. It's just like I don't know, some of the reactions and stuff were just odd. I don't know. It could be a I don't know, was it dubbed? I can't remember now.
I think it was. Yeah. I mean, it's an Italian-made movie, and the English dubbing was definitely what was the default.
Okay. Yeah.
So
I couldn't remember between this and a couple others if the mouth matched up to the movement or not, because I don't look for that anymore.
I don't even notice it anymore unless it's really bad. But I mean, so the film was written by Mario Finelli, and he wrote the screenplay based on a novel that he wrote called Las Huelas. And I like when the guy that writes the novel, or the person, male or female, whoever it is, writes the novel, also adapts the screenplay, because I think there's too many instances where it's adapted by somebody else and they may or may not understand the source material enough to present it in the way that the original author wanted to.
Yeah.
So I definitely think that Mario Finelli's vision from his novel is presented in this film. I mean, it may be wrong. I've never read the novel, but like it felt right.
Okay. Yeah.
If that makes sense. So I guess we're at a point where we could probably like. Chris.
Yeah.
If you've been able to get over your weekly amnesia, do you recommend and was your grade for Les Ormes?
I'm going to give this a weak recommend. I liked it, but it's not the best example. But it's all right. But I can't give it a full, like, this is amazing part of the, should be part of your collection. It's fine. It's a C+. It looked good. It took advantage of real filming locations, which a lot of Italian movies do. So it wasn't like an unexpected surprise when it was all sets or anything. But yeah, it's fine. I'm not upset I watched it, but I'm not thrilled either, if that makes sense.
All right. I really liked it.
I figured.
I'm going to recommend it. I'm going to give it, if you're going to give it I guess I'll recommend it. I'm going to say, dude, watch this fucking movie. If you like Italian thrillers and mysteries, and I think it's done very well. It's written excellent. It's shot really well. There's a lot of, like, in the final act, there's a lot of great shots where, like, they're filming on a mirror and you don't realize it's a mirror until, like, they pull the shot away.
Okay, yeah,
and it kind of just gives a weird sort of feel. And there's a lot of great shots of, like, people being backlit, so you can't really make out their faces, and good use of, like, some day for night stuff where they kind of, like, especially when they do the moon shots, and then, like, they kind of cross that over a little bit later on.
Yeah,
and it's got a cool look to it. And for the most part, I'm like, they're thinking about their shots. It's not just like, all right, put the camera down here, shoot, let's go.
Yeah, no, it looked good.
So I think the cinematography is quite good. I think Florinda Balkan carries it as the lead, and then the child actor, she really helps it too. So I really liked it. So I'm giving it a pretty high recommend. One of the higher recommends. And as far as a grade, I can't go too high, but I'm gonna give it a straight B. I think it's worth your time. If you're not into 70s Italian cinema, maybe not. Because it definitely feels like a 70s Italian flick, because it is a 70s Italian flick. So keep that in mind. But if you're into, the Argento, like if you like stuff like Deep Red and like, and you do enjoy the giallos, although I don't think this is a giallo, it is still an Italian mystery, so it does kind of live in that world. So that's what my recommend would be.
Sounds good.
Cool. All right. So our next review. I didn't realize this movie isn't even really technically released yet, so we've got an early screener. October 20th is when it's supposed to actually be released. But Larry hooked us up with an early release on this. Want to thank him for that, doing things for the show.
Yeah,
more than other people.
About time somebody does.
But Larry just sent over a quick message and says, "Hey guys, love the show. Hate Reverend Scott. Enjoy the film."
Okay, that's fair.
Okay. That's fair. So I do have a trailer here for Cobweb, suggested by Larry. Join the Patreon, patreon.com/outside the cinema. Here's the trailer.
It's okay. It was just a bad dream. I heard it again.
No more nightmares tonight. Okay, champ?
Daddy!
This is getting ridiculous.
This is an old house. There's bound to be bumps in the night. Peter drew this?
Yes. Is he all right?
Peter has an overactive imagination. No more nightmares. No more.
That's right.
You know, I wish I had someone I could talk to about the things that were happening in my house.
Mom? Mom?
Peter, sometimes
hard decisions to protect your family.
What is that? The banging.
You don't hear anything, Peter.
You have a beautiful imagination. It's going to get you into trouble one day.
All righty, Cobweb. It says in theaters July 21st.
I think the beauty.
Stop. But then here underneath it says coming soon October 20th.
Maybe it got pushed. I'll look it up. I don't remember.
Either way, doesn't matter. Cancel that. All right. So Lizzie Kaplan, Anthony Starr, Cleopatra Coleman, and Woody Norman star in Cobweb, directed by Samuel Bowden. Samuel Bowden, let's see here. Batman Ashes to Ashes. Is that a
cartoon?
Animated or
yeah.
Cartoon? Okay.
I think.
He also directed something called Tank in 2016. He worked on Marianne in 2019. Is that a TV show? Spanish TV show? Not familiar. Tank, Lazy Company, Gojira. He did one of their videos. So fairly, I mean, looks like he's been working for a number of years, but he's a fairly new face up for horror films, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too deep into it.
Yeah,
but I'm going
limited
strictly off of what he has.
Limited theatrical release in July 21st. And digital formats was August 11th. Blu-ray release is set for like 10 days ago.
All right. Either way.
Yeah.
So, Cobweb, as we said, starring Lizzie Kaplan. Love me some Lizzie Kaplan.
Yep.
Love me some Lizzie Kaplan. Anthony Starr plays Mark the father. He looks so much like somebody else, but what's the role he plays in The Boys? He's like the lead guy in The Boys.
Yeah,
isn't
he's
he?
the scary milk drinking motherfucker that's called. Is it not Captain Freedom? That's the Running Man. Oh, fuck.
He's like the Superman
Because
guy.
Omni-Man is the other show.
I've only watched a couple of episodes of The Boys, so I couldn't tell you.
It's been a while since I watched it, and I can't believe I can't remember. Homelander. That's why.
Homelander. There you go.
Yeah. It wasn't
But
something.
he's one of those character actors that does a lot of TV. Like he said he was in The Boys. He did a voice on Banshee. He was in American Gothic. Like a bunch of those like kind of like weirdo TV shows.
Didn't he isn't he Australian? Didn't he do a bunch of Australian stuff? I thought.
Yeah, he did. And then what's her name that plays the teacher in this? Cleopatra Coleman. She's Australian too.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
The story starts off very simple. You have Peter. He's an 8-year-old boy. He lives with his parents in this kind of like old, sort of rundown house, but not like rundown, like gross, just like old.
Yeah. It's nice on the inside. Nice. It's, but it is
old.
It feels Victorian. Yeah.
For sure. So he wakes up in the middle of the night hearing a strange banging in the walls.
As you do.
So he as your haunted house is to do to you.
Yeah.
You know, he goes over to the wall and he knocks on the wall and it knocks back and he's like, ah, shit. Like,
we got smart rats.
Yeah. Big ones too. So he freaks out, goes into his parents' room and they're like, listen, we don't hear anything. The usual, your imagination's playing tricks on you. You probably had a bad dream. You just go back to sleep.
Yeah.
And then goes to school the next day, and of course, the same trope that it always is. He's the weird kid, made fun of by his classmates, picked on by his classmates, and I think I have to put a little stake in the ground here, because Luke Busey is Jake Busey's son, right?
I believe so. I did not look it up.
I didn't look it up either, but he looks just like him. And he's got crazy eyes, just like him. And I want to say, listen, looking at this here, he hasn't been in a ton of stuff. He's in that TV show Bunked. And that's really it. So he's just getting going. So, Jake Busey. don't allow your son to be typecast like you were. Because you play all the fucking insane crazy guys that are out of control. And that's what your son does in this movie. And unfortunately for him, he has got the look and the skill to play a piece of shit so well. So just warning you, allow your son to do some roles where he might not necessarily be the psychopathic kid in the class that like beats up his classmates.
Yeah.
But he does a really good job of it.
Yeah.
So he's picking on poor Peter. You know, he pushes him down. He basically threatens him. He's like, hey, at recess, you're going to get yours. So Peter doesn't go to recess, and he stays in school and gets himself made fun of more because he becomes more of a weirdo. So Miss Devine, played by Cleopatra Coleman, is the substitute teacher for Peter's class. I'm assuming the other teacher had some sort of leave of absence. They don't actually say what it is, but so she comes in wanting to, you know, make the impression, and Peter is there during recess, and she's like, why aren't you going outside? And he's just like, well, you know, I don't want to. And she knows what's going on. She knows she's getting picked on.
Yeah.
So she kind of, you know, creates that little connection with him, which as kind of things start to play out and he starts to do these creepy drawings, and she, of course, like most good-natured people would, oversteps her boundaries, goes to the house and is like, hey, your son did this drawing where he's in his house and he's afraid and he's asking for help.
Yeah.
And this is the first kind of real look we get at Lizzie Kaplan's character of Carol, the parents of Carol and Mark, where we then see that there's something up with her. Where she is very much not so much, oh my God, what can we do to help? Much more like, oh, our son has an overactive imagination and you need to step back because we're going to take care of our son. It's not your place.
Yeah.
But in that like strangely aggressive sort of way. Like she says, I think she says, she's like, we really appreciate you bringing it to our attention and thank you, but you need to step back.
Right. Especially the cringiness of her saying she's a substitute teacher is like, why the fuck are you even there?
Right.
There are so many ways to go about that. Call the police or do something else. Or I don't know, maybe don't be a substitute and then go and watch or, you know, don't go get murdered. That could be something else too.
Yeah.
Like if I walked up to somebody's house and said, hey, this is for your kid, and she looked at me the way Kaplan did with that break in character for a fraction of a second, I would poop right on her front porch because I would have had to poop from the scary face, and I would leave and never go back and call the cops and say something's not right there. But she's dumb because the movie has to happen.
It's true. It's true. So, we get this nice kind of slow build of like the voice in the walls because the voice starts talking to him, and he's just like, well, you know, who are you and what can I do to help, and like, why are you trapped in the walls? And then we start as like he gets more information. We start to kind of see the parents unravel a little bit, but they do a pretty good job. And I think Samuel Bowden, I haven't seen his other horror film, Marianne, but like he does a really good job of building this kind of tension and suspense, and you know, like makes you want to know more. Like it definitely gives you enough to be like, okay, I need to know more what's going on. The father, Mark, is the stern parent. And we really realize that something is fucking real messed up when after Peter decides that he is going to take revenge on Luke Busey's character Brian for picking on him. There's a point where he makes a pumpkin, not a jack-o'-lantern, but he paints a pumpkin.
Yeah.
And then Brian knocks him over outside and ruins the pumpkin. And he really liked the pumpkin and was excited about it.
Yeah. He got compliments on it. All nice stuff.
Yeah, good stuff. And then this kid has to fucking ruin it because his last name is Busey.
Yeah, don't worry. He won't wear a helmet riding a motorcycle.
We'll see. So the voice in the walls is basically like, you need to stop being stepped on and you need to stand up for yourself. So Peter, being a young, impressionable kid that's been picked on his whole life, bullied by his parents, bullied by classmates, in a obviously dumb decision on his part, but also very understandable because his mental psyche has been so strained by everyone around him. He throws Brian down the stairs at school.
Yeah, I mean, his whole life is violence and threats and not being paid attention to or treated as a human. So if that's what you learn, that's who you're going to be.
Right. Exactly.
Like if your parents were judgmental assholes that didn't have any friends your whole life growing up, you're going to have a hard time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
And it takes a long time to fix that once you realize it.
So the results of this are...
No reason to say that. No reason.
I was just going to skip over that. So the results of this, obviously, he's in trouble because he threw a kid down the stairs and broke his leg.
Yeah. Now, what I don't understand is why didn't he just say, I came running around the corner and I didn't think anybody was there? That kid's dumb.
Well, because there was a witness and there was another kid there.
Push him, too. They're all bullies. And everybody gets down the stairs. You get a trip down the stairs, and you get a trip down the stairs.
You get a broken femur, and you get a broken femur, and you get a broken tibula.
Mm-hmm.
So they pull him out of school. The parents pull him out of school.
He's expelled.
He's expelled.
He is actually expelled, which was good because it shows that the school, it's not the Italian police.
Right.
They do something immediately.
Yes. So they kick him out. They expel him from school. So he's going to be homeschooled.
Mm.
But he's punished for this. Obviously, I mean, he threw a classmate down the stairs, regardless of whether he was being bullied by the person or anything. He threw the kid down the stairs.
Yeah.
And so it starts off. The father is very much just like, we don't solve problems with violence. And I'm like, okay, maybe the father's all right. He seems stern. Maybe we know the mother's a little crazy, but like, all right, what's going on? But then things really shift because he's like, all right, you're grounded.
Mm-hmm.
And Lizzie Kaplan's character is like, all right, go to your room. And he goes, no.
He's grounded. Yeah, and she looks scared, which to me makes me think that she's experienced it.
Potentially, for sure. So what does it mean for this kid to be grounded? They lock him in the basement.
Chained to the ground.
Chained to the ground.
He is literally underground. They buried their problem.
Getting ahead there, too, because of the voice in the walls. And so they lock him in the basement and chain him in the basement. And they actually even cover the basement door with the refrigerator so you don't even know that it's there.
Oh, that's right.
It's very... So this is from, if you watch the trailer, it's from the producers of Barbarian and It. So it's definitely, I definitely had a very familiar feel with Barbarian in this.
Yeah. Yeah.
With like the underground stuff and stuff in the walls and all that. I got the feel for that. But so, once again, props to Larry for choosing this movie.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I would have watched it otherwise.
I had it on my list and like I should I just don't want to. I don't know because I didn't know like what kind of movie I was looking at, with a kid in it.
I'm also very skeptical when you get that from the producers of this movie that was really hot last year.
Yeah,
like that. Like,
yeah, but if it's two of them, like if it's It and Barbarian, you could go and look and see, well, what else have they done that they're leaving off this list? And if there's not much, okay, I'll give it a shot at that point.
Right. So he's trapped in the basement. He's hearing the voices. He finds this grate. He looks in the grate and he thinks he sees somebody down there. But then the teacher shows up at the house because she's worried about him and she wants to, so she uses the guise of returning his last math test and she writes her phone number on it.
Yeah. Which is really dumb because...
Fucking bold move.
The mother would see that.
But I think partially she was concerned for the mother too.
Oh.
I think because she gives the test to the mother.
Okay.
She would see the number.
Yeah, she's not thinking both of them are in on it at this point. She's thinking just one person because the mother's acting weird. Yeah.
Yeah, and she hadn't met the father yet, but now she meets the father. He invites her in. And things get weird right away because he's got this large cut on his arm and he's carrying a hammer.
The whole time, yeah.
Yeah, he's like, she goes, dude, you're bleeding everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's not like a little scrape. It's like a cut from like his wrist.
Oh, yeah.
Like down to his elbow.
Talking like
and he's
6 to
bleeding
8
everywhere.
inches. Yeah.
Yeah. Like type of cut that looked like he probably needed stitches for it.
Yeah.
And he's like, it's fine. I'm just doing some remodeling on the house and I caught my arm on a nail.
Yep. All Hellraiser style.
Yep.
Sure.
So she's like, well, how is Peter? And like, he's fine. And she's like, well, where's he going to go to school now? Oh, he's going to go to school here. We're going to teach him at home. And she goes, I don't know if that's a good idea for a kid that's got problems like he's got. And they're basically like, fucking excuse me? Like, what are you saying?
Yeah. And I really think that that's one of the, that to me was a flaw. Because Kaplan gets so upset about it, yelling and screaming.
So upset.
But the teacher never takes a second to say, no, I mean the bullying and being socialized and around other. No one tries to expand to cover themselves. This is almost like everybody is honest by default, and it makes it weird. Because this kid knows the shit that's going on. Is more or less. He has an idea that something's weird and he shouldn't be telling his parents stuff after a certain amount of time. But he just, I don't know. People act counterintuitive for me at some points. Like the police are never called.
Nope.
That's a huge oversight. But whatever.
Yeah, and that happens a couple times. And I think I love the idea of the Miss Divine character. And how she's trying to help. Like, I love that, but she makes some really poor decisions. And I agree with you. I'm glad that you said it because I was like, she never speaks up for, like, herself or also for Peter and trying to explain herself. Because, like you said, Lizzie Kaplan goes off and, like, you don't know what's best for my child. And you don't know me. And you don't know where I'm from or what I've been through. Like,
yeah, and you come.
All she had to do was like chill.
She has to look. You don't know what I see every day. You don't know what he goes through with these kids bullying him and beating him up. You don't know. And that's it. What can you say? Because if she doesn't know, she doesn't know. And if she does know, the question is, why the fuck aren't you doing something about it? And you can turn that dynamic back onto yourself if you think you are trying to help somebody.
Right. So basically, she's forced to leave as much as Peter tries to get her attention, banging on the walls, but the washing machine's going, so she doesn't hear it. And then she also kind of leaves mostly they tell her to leave, but she's like, okay, yeah, I got to get the hell out of here before something bad happens.
Yeah, but she sits there way too long while the two of them are she's yelling and he's consoling her. And the substitute's just sitting there, like fucking slink out when they're not looking.
Yeah. Yeah.
This goes back to those other movies we watched where an uninvited guest shows up and the people don't say, get out.
Right. So he's hearing the voice in the walls. They eventually let him out of the basement. He's still hearing the voice in the walls and scratching and getting more information. And the voice in the walls essentially is playing him. And telling him, well, this happened, and your parents, this, that.
Yeah, I overheard them, blah, blah, blah.
And so he is being influenced by this voice now. Now, slight spoiler, I don't think it's a major spoiler. We learned that the voice in the walls is actually his sister.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go anything past that, but so he then has a connection, and he sees that his parents are doing weird things, and he's really starting to question everything. But because he's been handled with such aggression by virtually everybody else, the soft voice in the walls that wants to help him makes a much bigger impression on him than the other things that he should be looking at.
Yeah, he just wants somebody that wants him around.
Right.
Just to be him.
Again,
yeah.
Right. And so again, it plays itself out into this, like obviously he lets what's in the walls out. And it's not what he thinks it is.
No.
We'll just put it and we'll leave it at that. I don't want to spoil it because it is a brand new flick. But I will say this. I think the front half of this film, much like Barbarian, I think the front half of this film is excellent. I love the atmosphere. I love the questions that we're forced to ask. I love the way that it's shot. It's dark, but not so dark that you can't tell what's going on. I love the build up and I love the lead up. Second half of the film, I think, is garbage.
Okay.
That's me.
Well, I can see
That's
that.
me. What do you? How do you give me your feel?
I think it was a little too much like People Under the Stairs, and I had a hard time getting over that.
Oh, I didn't even catch that, but now that you say that, it's the same fucking movie.
It is.
It's the same fucking movie.
Yeah. Although, I do like Lizzie Kaplan and Anthony Starr.
I love Lizzie Kaplan in general.
Starr is fucking...
I'll watch anything she's in.
Yeah. But Starr is fucking terrifying. It's probably because of the 3 years of watching The Boys and knowing all the stuff that he can do as an actor to show emotions that are kind of, I would say, difficult to show. And this movie actually pulls that off. He's like, who was the dude that played Zod? Michael Shannon. He's a scary motherfucker in interviews. So I think Anthony Starr is I'm going to put him in a category with him. He's just a scary dude when he's nice. And it really worked in this. He played to his pop culture strengths, and it really worked. And Lizzie has like essentially a little more psychotic Annie Wilkes, because I'll forever see her as that now because she did such a great job. That was her, right?
No, I don't think it was.
In the Misery show?
The show she played the Alex character in the Fatal Attraction miniseries where she was fucking off her rocker and fucking excellent.
Huh.
I don't think she was in the Misery series. I didn't see it.
Yeah. Castle Rock. She played.
Oh, Castle Rock.
Yeah, Annie Wilkes.
Yeah, she did. She did. I never finished Castle Rock. I watched most of the first season and then never went back to it because I knew that they ended it before it was actually able to end.
I watched the first season. She showed up in the second, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't want a backstory for Annie Wilkes. I like her just as, oh shit, you found the wrong fan. I don't want to know who she was before that and all that. Although Lizzie Kaplan did an excellent fucking job.
I didn't see it, so
she nailed that character. All you got to do is watch like 10 minutes of a scene, and you'll be like, "God damn, is that her daughter?"
Yeah, so I would also recommend I think it was on Paramount Plus, the Fatal Attraction miniseries that they made. She plays Alex, which is the Glenn Close character.
Oh,
and I'll tell you, because Lizzie Kaplan's gorgeous. We'll put that out there. But she is able to transcend that, like, and even in this movie, you can see it, like, from the beginning of the movie and how much darker and harsher and more evil she looks as it goes. And that is very much that character from Fatal Attraction, too, whereas, like, she starts off and she's like, you're like, well, she's this hot chick. And like, Fatal Attraction is obviously the guy cheats on his wife. And you're like, well, you know, I almost kind of understand when you get this gorgeous lady that's like throwing herself at him, but then you see what she becomes and you're like, Jesus Christ, man, like this is insane.
Yeah.
She's great. Love her. Especially going back to Mean Girls and obviously Party Down.
Yeah.
But yes, I feel like second half of this movie, I just like Barbarian, like I think it gets cheap and lazy when you start to see what the big evil is.
Yeah. I don't like
stuff based in reality, and then you decide in the 10th hour to take it off the rails.
Yeah, you got to hint at that stuff a little earlier. Definitely.
And then also no explanation. There's no real explanation. Like, the explanation we're given for what it is and where it came from is like so simple, but you're like, that's not. We saw Veronica.
Yeah.
That's not. Like,
yeah. Yeah. You gotta introduce your stuff very deliberately.
Give some snippets.
Yeah.
Gotta give some snippets.
I was thinking, like, how they introduce the Force in the first Star Wars movie is like they talk about it a little bit and then nothing happens for a little bit and then he uses it on a stormtrooper and you're like, oh, it makes you a superhero. I see. But it's not an instant, like, deflecting laser bolts with your hands, which looks ridiculous. You build up to that.
Yeah.
And then it's like, wow. Here, like, I guess it sort of works, but no, because there's a huge part of this that is not explained. And it's basically how characters change over time. I think you know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're
But
saying.
I'm not going to give anything else. I like the idea that they put on this other character that you don't see for most of the movie or the whole movie. I'm not telling you. It made sense with the explanation, but not in the realistic, unsupernatural world that they apparently live in.
Correct.
So,
Correct.
Yeah.
And also, what's the, like, so the kid that broke his leg comes back with, like, his big brother and their buddies, and, like, that shit, come on. Like,
I thought that was actually kind of funny because I've never seen a movie line up all three antagonists and protagonists in, like, a slaughter line, for instance. Not that anybody does get killed, I'm not telling you. But
there's some shit, though, dude. Be ready for it.
It is interesting when they show up at the house. The timing is suspect, but not really at the same time because it's all within the same, like, week period or something. Or right before Halloween. But still, that's like
Halloween night.
That's some small town shit right there. Like, that's some, like, 1960s kind of stuff you see in movies. I haven't seen the cousins get together and go on a raiding rampage to get the bully kid back since the 80s, let's say. But yeah.
Anyway, all right. Chris, do you recommend? And what is your grade for Larry's Patreon pick of Cobweb?
I'll recommend it, but I think it's light, as in Bud Light. It's like you get the whole story, but half of the logic.
Yeah. It's a good way to put it, actually.
What I didn't like was the right off the bat, mother, father, little kid in a bad situation in a house with a person in the walls and the kid's chained in the basement. It's like, yeah, did you give a special thanks to Wes Craven? Because you fucking should.
You should.
And then it was like a typical haunted house at the end. Yeah, sorta. It's that idea, the trope. Whatever.
Right.
So, I'll recommend it. It looks really nice. If you like those two actors, knock yourself out, or 3 or 4 or whoever. I
really want to see the devil spawn of Jake Busey.
Yeah. No, it's Gary Busey's kid.
He's Gary Busey's kid?
That's what I read.
He's like 10.
Yeah.
All right. Isn't Jake Busey in like his mid 40s?
I don't know. All I know is
really
that sperm still works.
Wow.
That's
all right. Unexpected change of events there.
Well, look at the old, mangled orange. He had like a 15-year-old kid. He's 75. The old mangled orange. So, sorry. The soon to be in prison orange.
Hey, that is the former president of the United States, you son of a bitch.
Sorry, the felon president of the United States. What did you say?
The former president of the United States.
He is a former president.
Future president of these glorious. Nope.
The once and future president of these glorious United States of America.
Yeah. I got a question for you.
What?
So, if Trump won the election the first time, and he didn't the second time, but everybody that you talk to that's a kook says he's still president, and they're going to vote for him again in this next election, if he is president now, he can't run again. Right? So
what are you doing using logic and details? Come on.
So there's that. And then, he has 90-something charges against him as of September 25th, 2023, because who knows? How the fuck are they? Is he still thinking he's running for president? He has to have dementia.
His thing that he's doing now is he's pushing all of the Republicans to shut down the government so they can throw the prosecution out.
I don't know
like
why the fuck they're even listening to him. This is their chance to get away from him.
They're afraid of him.
But meanwhile, you got Lauren Boebert jerking people off left and right during plays and then talking about family values. I swear to God, if I could just have a half hour.
Wasn't that dude not her husband?
No, that's a boyfriend. She, her husband exposed himself to people in a bowling alley, and she was doing that. But remember, that's the party of family values.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I also don't understand
like the
how
Family Values tour.
Yeah, sure.
Featuring orgy and corn.
Actually, that's pretty much what it was like. Yeah.
My Geordie LaForge glasses say yes. Go with it.
The corn was in her poop, which was the bullshit she spread after. And you know what Boebert said after that? Oh, next time I agree to a date, I should check party affiliation. Why? Do you want somebody you won't jerk off? I mean, like, fucking come on.
Anyway,
nobody
nobody
slapped her in the back of the head. I once told Nancy Kerrigan that all these people got here before her and she needs to sit down and wait for her number to be called. Fucking famous people. B. That's how my mind works. I'm just going with it. It's a mostly recommend and a B.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a tepid recommend. I really did enjoy the first half. I thought the first half, it was tense. The same fucking review I gave Barbarian, where I really loved the tension building and I loved everything that happened in the first half of it, and then the second half, I was kind of eye rolling.
Yeah,
but I think overall, I like this more than I liked Barbarian.
Okay,
but it's not. This is not something that 5 years from now anyone's going to be like, "Oh, have you seen Cobweb?"
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's not. It's a blip on the radar for a horror movie for the year because it's not good enough to set it up with the more modern masterpieces like a Midsommar or a Get Out or
how about this one, Possum.
I haven't seen Possum.
Fuck, that's a creepy movie.
All right, I'll have to check it out then.
It's.
Wonder if Larry's seen it.
It's a very slow, tense, psychological. Like the guy in it is damaged. You should know that just going in.
All right.
It doesn't make me feel good. I watched it once, and I don't think I ever will again.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm giving it a tepid recommend. It's not something that's going to be super memorable. It's probably not going to be on my end of year list. But it's not bad, though. Like, There's nothing bad. And I think, as I said before, I professed my love for Lizzie Kaplan earlier. I think everyone in the cast is doing a great job with what they're given. I just think the second half and the finale kind of failed the movie.
Yeah. I mean, if anybody asked us, our review would be, oh, yeah, that was fine.
I'd be curious to think if what Reverend Scott would think of this movie, because he definitely loves, probably more so than you and I, like the modern horror stuff.
Well,
I don't know.
Now that we mentioned his name, oh God, I'm dying.
You all right? Jesus.
I don't know. I just had a burp that like went sideways or something. It was weird. You get those burps that all of a sudden they're like spit bubbles in your throat. And you're like, what the fuck? Am I dying? Am I a fish? So that's what happened there. I'm fine. What was I talking about?
Now that we said Reverend Scott's name.
Oh, yeah. He will definitely review it in his segment because that's how my life works. I'm going to have to hear about this movie again.
Fair.
But let's go to Joe.
I gotta have
No, I don't care. I don't care what you have to say.
I'm gonna give it a C+. I'm gonna give it a C+, bordering B-. Good, not great.
Yeah.
So, there is no Joe this week.
Oh.
Joe is on assignment in parts unknown over the weekend. He'll be returning next week to finish off, or not to finish off, but to do House 3.
You know how you get a hold of him, right?
How?
You just yell, yo, Joe. And then you hope Cobra doesn't show up.
Oh. I would have assumed you played the Ultimate Warrior theme song.
Could be. I mean, I could put out a certain kind of food that he'll tell me about, and then I'll take a picture of that and tease him with it.
You'd be like, because he's off in parts unknown, you'd have to be like,
Yeah. Scrapple. He'd have to be a picture of Scrapple because that's made from unknown pig parts.
and he would just like, you'd be like, Joe, and then he'd just come running down the thing like, and then grab the ropes and be like,
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it sounds like it was recorded on a fucking Casio. Joe will be back next week. Hope you had a good weekend, buddy, and we'll talk to you soon. Now is time for Reverend Scott and his words of encouragement. Next week on the show, not Cobweb.
Son of a bitch.
What?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
With Reverend Scott.
In the name of the devil himself, clean up those toenails. What?
I don't know.
Hey there, Bill and Chris. This is Reverend Scott.
He's a shitty, snobby, elitist piece of shit, and everything he says is just in a tone that makes you want to slap him.
Yeah.
Agreed. And this week is close enough to spooky season for me to start talking about a quote-unquote horror movie I saw recently in the theater. And since you've been good little boys and girls this season, I'm going to only talk about that movie that I watched, just like I did last week.
But that did not happen.
That's right, you don't deserve to hear about that yet. But what you do deserve is to hear me judging your reviews based on made-up rules that only I know. Starting with whatever the hell it was you started with last time.
Jack B. Nimble. What year did I say it was? 90, 91, 93?
Yeah, 90.
Apparently, this is a story about a brother and a sister that were adopted to separate families, Jack and Dora. Let's hear a trailer.
Yeah.
Let's go! Dora, 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 the Explorer! Swiper, no swiping! Oh, man!
Well, that sounds great. Tell us about the plot, Bill.
It's somewhat presented in this kind of supernatural way. She's hanging laundry outside, and it's so windy that the laundry's like slapping her in the face. And I'm just at first was like, maybe wait till it's not so windy.
Yeah.
Riveting plot. So tell me more about these kids in the movie.
Where are the kids?
So
I don't know. I put them in the box.
They're in the box.
Which is exactly where they belong. I agree. But then some dummy came by and adopted Jack.
Oh, they're all so cute. I don't know which one I want. I'll take that little guy.
After that, I think there was some other shit that happened. But then the movie was over.
All right, Chris, do you recommend and what's your grade for Simple Jack?
I think he gave it an A, but I only give it a C+. But the review gets a B+ for the Tropic Thunder reference. Moving on to every Emily's favorite movie, See No Evil, containing only one redeeming aspect.
Death by dodgeball. Yeah, sounds sick. Guess what? It's one scene in the movie, and it lasts for like under a minute, and then the rest of the movie is fucking garbage.
Okay, let's calm down there a bit, Bill. That's a bit harsh, don't you think? Because I heard it was directed by the one, the only, the OTC famous.
And this is directed by Frank LaLoggia, not Robert LaLoggia, but Frank.
Never mind. Fuck this movie. I guess you can tell me about the plot or something if you want.
Kids are terrible today. The kids are awful, and you do not want to give them any type of ammunition.
Aren't there like zombies or demons or something like that in this?
Oh man, what am I going to do with these tits now?
What? Whatever. I give it a B. And the review gets an A- because Emily recommended this. Okay, now for the moment you've not been waiting for. What spooky instant classic did I go see in the theater? Well, that would be a movie that's a sequel to a spin-off of a movie based on a true story that's actually a lie. That's because I saw The Nun 2, starring some people that didn't die in the first one, I guess. And that's all I can say, because I asked Bill who was in this, and he told me,
I don't fucking know, but don't you tell anybody about it.
Yeah.
But the gist of this movie is that there's a boarding school for girls, and there's a groundskeeper, and he's kind of sweet on one of the teachers, and she kind of likes him, but it's like a religious school, so they can't really do anything. And she's got a daughter that is in school there, and there's basically the nun, and she's kind of possessed this dude, and there's a thing that she's trying to get, you know, the MacGuffin or whatever. And the church is sending one of the only other nuns to the school to help because she actually survived the first time and was dumb enough to stick around the church afterwards.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Cool. I like making sense.
So here's the thing about The Nun 2. It's not scary. It's not original. And the titular nun is barely in it. Oh, and it takes itself way too seriously as well.
Why are you laughing, first of all? It's not funny.
And there's also a goat man in this that chases around little girls in the school near the end. I guess that was kind of funny. Man, I don't know what else to say about this one. I mean, I guess it looks fine. It's made well, but it's just not scary. I wanted it to, like, put some more hair on my chest, you know? Like, basically, I wanted it to level up my manliness. I wanted the filmmakers to say,
we're going to make you a man, essentially.
But it just didn't happen. So, I may not be as manly as I could be right now, but at least I don't look like that fucking stupid goat man.
Speaking of looking great,
I give The Nun 2 Holy Boogaloo a C-. Competent, not the worst, but it's just too forgettable. Speaking of forgettable, that's it for this week. But tune in next week on Outside the Cinema, and when Chris promises he'll only give out A+ grades for the next 4 episodes.
Now I won't shit on the movies.
But then he only does it for like 2 episodes.
I know we said we were doing it in an hour. We're going to stop halfway through. Story of my life, stopping halfway through.
All that and so much more that'll stop halfway through. But until then, peace and...
You look I got a little trimmed up. It's been a while.
My balls.
They're a little fuzzy.
A little sharp.
Yeah, sharpen up, look good.
How often do you like to shave them?
It depends, because I kind of use like the shaved down, trimmed up ball sack for like confidence. So like when I'm feeling good, I don't mind if it gets a little grown out, like 1/4 of an inch or whatever.
Jesus Christ.
But if I got something coming up, like I got to go do something on my own and my anxiety won't let me, then I'll do it. So like today or tomorrow, I'll have my ball bag done again. Yeah.
Okay. The balls.
You should treat them nice.
Yes, Christopher. Treat your balls nice. Thank you for joining us on the Amnesia Cast. We hope you enjoyed your travels here and remember them fondly, but you won't. Very special thanks to Larry for choosing the film this week, Cobweb. Join our Patreon at patreon.com/outsidethecinema. $5 monthly donation will give you access to our show archives. And you can suggest films for the show. Follow us on Instagram at OTCBill and Cthulhu. Should we do an ASMR cast?
No, I hate that noise. No Pauly Shore podcasts either.
Pauly Shore, what?
That's like the weasel noise he made.
Oh, the weasel. Anyway, guys, thanks for hanging out. We'll see you next week. Next week's movies, I'll post them on Facebook, because I don't have the thing open in front of me like I said I would. So my apologies. Bye, everyone.
Bye.